She was already standing in front of my cabin when I pulled up, her red suit blazing like a warning flare. She didn't even give me time to step onto the porch before shouting, "This land is now under HOA control. You're not allowed to stay here." Her finger stabbed the air like she was some kind of lawman. Behind her, two SUVs with HOA markings idled with their lights on, staged like an official raid. I tightened my grip on the leather case in my hand, my pulse steady but burning hot. "You don't understand, Karen," I said calmly, locking eyes with her. "This cabin is mine. This valley is mine. And no piece of paper you cooked up changes that." She smirked and pulled out a thick folder stuffed with fake legal documents, waving it like a weapon. "You'll regret talking back. I'll have you arrested before sundown." She didn't know it yet, but I could already see the fracture in her confidence when I refused to flinch. The game she thought she controlled was already slipping away. Her voice echoed across the valley as she barked orders to the men climbing out of the SUVs. They wore matching uniforms, but everything about them felt off. The badges looked cheap. The belts didn't fit right. Anyone with half a brain could tell they weren't real cops. Still, Karen puffed out her chest and shouted, "Take his case and remove him from the property." One of the men stepped toward me, reaching for my arm. That's when I broke the silence. "Careful," I said slowly, opening my case and pulling out a folded document. "You touch me, and it won't be me in handcuffs tonight." The man froze mid-step. Karen laughed sharply. "Bluff all you want. This land belongs to the HOA board." I unfolded the paper and held it high enough for everyone to see. Her smirk faltered instantly. The seal at the top wasn't fake. It was federal. "Funny thing, Karen," I said, letting each word cut through the air. "This valley isn't just mine. It's protected under a deed you can't touch." The fake officers shifted nervously, glancing at one another, waiting for someone else to make the first move. Karen's face flushed red, but she forced a grin. "That won't save you. I have more power than you think." She snapped her fingers, and one of the fake cops yanked a radio from his belt, barking into it like reinforcements were waiting nearby. "Unit 3, move in. Secure the cabin." My blood heated, but I stayed still, watching her performance play out. She strutted closer, heels sinking into the grass, her voice dripping with arrogance. "You think a piece of paper scares me? I run this board. Everyone in this valley answers to me. Your time here is over." She jabbed her finger into my chest, her fake authority echoing off the water behind us. That's when the roar of an engine cut straight through her words. Down the dirt road, a black pickup appeared, dust exploding behind it. Karen froze. The man behind the wheel wasn't one of her enforcers. It was my brother. He parked hard, stepped out, and the moment his boots hit the ground, the so-called officers stiffened like they'd just seen a ghost. Karen forced a laugh. "Oh, what's this? You brought backup? Cute. He can watch you get thrown out." But I caught the look in her eyes. She knew exactly who he was, and she knew why the color drained from her face. Her smile cracked the second my brother pulled a folded badge from his jacket and held it up. The fake cops froze like statues, their hands hovering uselessly over plastic holsters. "Sheriff's Department," he said flatly, his voice carrying more authority than all of Karen's shouting combined. "This land is not HOA property. It belongs to my family, and the deed is on record." Karen's face twisted, but she wasn't ready to surrender. She spun toward the men she'd brought and snarled, "Don't just stand there. Arrest them both." None of them moved. One muttered under his breath, "You didn't tell us he was law enforcement." The air grew heavy as Karen's confidence drained with every second of silence. I stepped closer, lifting my deed for everyone to see. "You just made a serious mistake, Karen. Impersonating officers. Trespassing. Fraud." She shot me a glare sharp enough to cut glass and hissed, "You think this is over? You have no idea who you're dealing with." But her voice was thinner now, trembling under the weight of the truth. And then almost perfectly on cue, the wail of real sirens echoed from down the valley road. Red and blue lights spilled across the trees as two genuine sheriff cruisers rolled in behind the HOA SUVs. Karen's eyes flicked wildly, like a trapped animal sensing the end. Her fake officers backed away the second the cruiser doors opened and real deputies stepped out. One of them, tall, with the gravelly voice, scanned the scene. Me, my brother, then Karen. "We got a call about trespassing and threats," he said, one hand resting near his holster. "Funny thing is, the only threats I see are standing on your side, ma'am." Karen's painted smile snapped back into place, stretched thin and desperate. "Officer, thank God you're here. This man is squatting on property owned by the HOA. I was only enforcing the rules." I let out a slow, sharp laugh. "Tell him who you really are, Karen," I said evenly. "Or should I?" My brother stepped forward and handed the deputy a tablet. The screen lit up with footage from my cabin's security cameras. Karen planting fake notices, barking orders, dragging her board members into her scheme. The deputy's jaw clenched as he watched. Karen's voice cracked, panic spilling out. "You don't understand. I control this valley." But no one was listening anymore. The truth was exposed, and her empire of lies was collapsing in real time. Karen's mask finally shattered. She lunged forward, ripping the deed from my hand and waving it like a mad banner. "This paper means nothing," she screamed, her voice echoing through the trees. Before anyone could react, she hurled it to the dirt and stomped on it, grinding her heel as if she could erase my rights with brute force. A deputy moved in, but she wasn't finished. She grabbed the radio from one of her fake officers and shouted, "Block the road. No one leaves until I say so." The valley fell dead silent. Even the birds seemed to freeze. I bent down slowly, picked the deed up, and brushed the dirt away with steady hands. "You just sealed it, Karen," I said quietly, my voice sharp enough to cut through her madness. My brother nodded once. A deputy stepped forward, cuffs already in hand. Karen staggered back, screaming, "I own this valley. You can't touch me." Her own men refused to move, eyes locked on the real law standing before them. Then the deputy's radio crackled. "Copy that. Additional units inbound." Once her brought in, Karen froze. For the first time, fear replaced arrogance. Her hands trembled as deputies closed in. But instead of surrendering, she spun toward the neighbors gathered along the tree line. "Don't just stand there," she shrieked. "I protected your homes, your families. This valley belongs to the HOA because of me." But the faces staring back weren't loyal, they were furious. One man stepped forward, holding a crumpled notice. "You tried to evict me for building a chicken coop," he said bitterly. A woman shouted, "You fined my kids for riding bikes." More voices rose, years of abuse spilling out all at once. Karen's eyes darted, searching for allies, finding none. The deputy took her arm and snapped the cuffs closed. The sound echoed louder than her screams. I folded the deed carefully and placed it back in my case. My brother looked at me, calm and steady. "It's over," Karen thrashed, her voice cracking. "No, this is my valley. You'll regret this." But the people she claimed to control were already turning away, their silence louder than her rage. For the first time, the valley felt free. As the deputies led Karen toward the cruiser, her red suit flashed under the spinning lights. I stood on my porch and looked out over the valley, the same valley she tried to steal with lies and fear. Neighbors gathered closer, some clapping softly, others just breathing like a weight had finally lifted. One deputy handed me back the deed. "This land is yours. Always has been. She won't bother anyone again." My brother nodded, pride clear in his eyes. Karen's screams faded as the cruiser disappeared down the winding road. The valley grew quiet, peaceful. I set my case down on the porch and spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. This land doesn't belong to a board or fake authority. It belongs to the people who live here, who work it, who protect it. And I'll fight anyone who tries to take that away. A cheer rolled through the crowd, small but strong, and the fire in my chest finally eased. The battle was over. Justice had held its ground. The valley was ours.